Here we go. Happy 40th birthday, LeBron Raymond James Sr. Today, the greatest gift I can give you is just dozens of roses without a single thorn. All compliments without a single criticism. Now, not on your 40th birthday. So here I go. Bron, you are still the best passer in basketball. At age 40, every night I watch you, every dribble. I sit back 2 or 3 times a night and I say, that's just so good. You anticipate teammates breaking open. You execute bounce passes and no looks, touchdown bombs better than anyone playing the point today. And Bron, what amazes me even more is that at 6 feet 9 inches tall, 260 pounds, you're also the greatest basket attacker ever. I have never, ever seen anything like your ability to play bully ball, even at age 40. So you're the greatest combination of force and finesse that I've ever seen, ever. Great passer, greatest driver. When you put your head down, you attack the rack, man, nobody can stop you. Plus, you were born left-handed and you shoot right-handed. So when you get to the rim, you are ambidextrous, left, right. You can out-finesse those bullied defenders with either hand, left, right. What a combination. All time. And Bron, what's even greater than your passing or your driving is your enduring. You are simply the most durable superstar athlete ever. You, LeBron James, have already played the most NBA minutes ever by 3,139 over Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and counting. In year 22, you're averaging 35 minutes a night, along with 24 points and 8 rebounds and 9 assists. Those would be very respectable numbers for a 25-year-old LeBron. And this after you led Team USA all the way through the Olympics to the gold medal. This after you were the Olympic MVP at age 39. So could you play this season and next? Sure you could. Or this season and 2 more seasons? Sure you could. If you feel like paying the all-time toughest price that you have to pay at this age to play this way at this age and this stage, if you want to do it for 3 more years, wouldn't surprise me a bit. You are that durable with that high a pain threshold. So, Bron, I had dinner the other night with this orthopedic surgeon. I won't call his name, but he's operated on many NBA players in all sports for that matter. He raved about your durability and your pain threshold. I told him, I've seen you turn your ankle to the floor, turn it completely over, bone to floor. And then I thought, okay, he's gone for 3 weeks. And Bron, you've limped over to the bench and you've gotten retaped. And then you've hopped up and down for a couple of minutes just to test it, retest. And you've come right back in the game and you've played like you're 100% healthy. Never seen anything like it. As this orthopedic surgeon told me, he can take the same ankle x-ray of 3 different NBA players, and one will miss 3 weeks with that injury. One will play a few minutes here and there and then miss a game and play a few more minutes here and there and then miss another game. And the third player will shrug and play right through that same pain. That is you, LeBron James. You've consistently had ankle issues over the last 5-6 years. I mean, after all those all-time record minutes you played, your ankles are an arthritic mess. But you have mostly just sucked it up and played right through the nagging pain, night after night after night after night. I cannot stress how impressed I am with that. You've had no knee surgeries, no shoulder surgeries, no Achilles issues. Knocking on wood. But you just keep putting in the extraordinary work required day after day, day after day after day after day, to keep your body in the condition required to play 35 high contact minutes a night. Now, I'm not saying that basketball is football, but you, LeBron, you drive the ball so explosively much that you take more high-speed contact than any player in the league. You also suffer more uncalled fouls than any other player in the league because refs give you the Shaq treatment. You're the big bad bully. Why should they reward you with free throws? I mean, Joel Embiid gets fouled a lot more than you do, but he's not moving the way you do. Guys are just hanging all over Joel at 7'2", 330 pounds. They are running into you and you into them, running into you with NFL force. But you just have such a gift for self-protection. You know how to fall. You know how to take a hit. But mostly, you just have the guts. You have the pain threshold to just tough through all the aches and all the pains night after night after night, never see anything like it. And for all the other human stars playing in the NBA, this, as we all know, has been the age. I hate to even say these two words, the two words fans hate the most. This has been the age of load management. My man Greg Popovich started this, 20 years ago with the Spurs dynasty. Shortened minutes, shortened games played, prolonged careers. You love Pop, LeBron. But you are the outlier. You are the exception to his rule. You are the durability freak, the superhero, Iron Man without needing Tony Stark's suit. You are a flesh and blood Iron Man. If the ultimate ability is durability, you are the king. You discipline yourself so much in what you eat. You eat with incredible discipline. It's just not easy to do as you get older and older. You drink with incredible discipline. It can be even more difficult as you get older and older. You pay a severe price. And Bron, don't get me started on all you've done off the court. We know. It's just greatness upon greatness. Well, what a great job you've done raising Bronny. All your kids for that matter, but I get to watch Bronny out in public. What a great job you did with that young man. What a great job you've done using all your mighty platforms to campaign for racial, social justice. What a great job you've done giving back to your hometown with your I Promise School in Akron. So today, I celebrate you, LeBron. Today, you will not hear a peep out of me about, nope. Today, I bite my tongue. Bite it off. Today, my tongue is filled with only the highest praise. Today, I give you dozens and dozens of birthday roses without a single thorn. Today, I salute you, LeBron James. Happy birthday and happy New Year's. Quick sip of Nectar of the Gods, Breakfast of Champions, Diet Mountain Dew. So, Eagles coach Nick Sirianni said after yesterday's 41-7 wipeout of my Dallas Cowboys that he has a lot of thinking to do. Sirianni said he wasn't sure whether he'd allow Saquon Barkley to make a run at Eric Dickerson's all-time single-season rushing record when the Eagles host the Giants in next Sunday's regular season finale. Obviously, some injury risk would be involved with that, not to mention just giving Saquon a week off to recover from the punishment of a 2,000-plus yard season. Saquon's already carried the ball 345 times this season, which is already 50 more times than he carried it in 2022, which was his career high in carries. And don't forget, Saquon has caught the football 33 times, so that's 378 total touches. Man, that's a whole lot of collisions. The Eagles have clinched the 2 seed. The Eagles have absolutely nothing to play for this coming Sunday. Heck, all the starters need some rest, some recovery. So obviously, the smart move here for the Philadelphia Eagles is to ignore the fans' outcry and to sit Saquon Sunday. And obviously, because I picked the Eagles before the season started to win this year's Super Bowl, you'd think I'd be the first to pound this table and say, come on, Eagles, wake up, wise up, prioritize winning the Super Bowl over some risky individual record. And you would be wrong. In this extremely rare circumstance, I do believe it makes more sense to let Saquon try to break my friend Eric Dickerson's record. I say take the plunge, take the risk, ignore the criticism, and I say it would help propel the entire team, especially the offensive line, into the postseason if Saquon could, in fact, break this record. It's extremely unlikely Saquon Barkley will have this chance again. My friend Eric Dickerson never had that shot again, never went over 2,000 yards again in his all-time great career. And yes, I do realize Eric Dickerson set this record in just 16 versus this year's, obviously, this time 17 games. But don't forget this. Eric Dickerson had 379 carries in that record year. That's 34 more than Saquon has right now. And by the way, just for the record, Saquon went for 167 against my Dallas Cowboys on Sunday without the threat of having Jalen Hurts as the read option in the backfield. So he did that against my Cowboys. I didn't think he'd get 100. He did it by himself. You got to give him that. So all of this should make it clear to you what an incredibly special year Saquon has had in the age of devaluing the running back. Yeah, most teams right now think running backs are a dime a dozen. They have for the last 5 or so years. Running backs readily available in the 3rd, or the 4th, or the 5th round. I mean, no way was my man Jerry Jones going to make a play for Saquon or even for Derrick Henry, who, by the way, lives in Dallas and badly wanted to play for Dallas. So why did I pick the Eagles to beat the Ravens in the Super Bowl? Well, in part, because the Eagles went right out and they signed Saquon. Interesting. And because the Ravens basically stole Derrick Henry. Jerry stuck with the undrafted Rico Dowdle, who, by the way, has actually had a pretty good year for the 7-9 Dallas Cowboys. Look, I've said this before, I'll say it again. I was never all that much of a Saquon fan when he was a Giant, except for off the field, because I did have him in studio on TV before he was drafted. What a good kid he came across as. What a fine young man he was. At that point, he seemed so smart, so mature, so humble, had such high character. Yet, as I began to watch him as a Giant, he was mostly just a home run hitter. He didn't do singles and doubles as a Giant. Wasn't much of a factor banging the ball between the tackles. Rarely made his own holes. Could only burn a defense if it happened to let him get loose and escape. As a Giant, Saquon was good for, 1 or 2 long runs a game, surrounded by a whole lot of what John Madden used to call none-yard runs. Zeros, ones, minus ones, zeros, ones, minus ones. The Cowboys dominated Saquon's Giants, just owned Saquon's Giants, did not lose to Saquon's Giants. But that was when Saquon was a Giant, a small Giant. But all that changed this season in Philadelphia. Saquon won me over this season in Philadelphia. And I hate the Eagles. I have since I was a diehard Cowboy fan at age 10. Saquon, as an Eagle, started to make a lot of his own holes. Saquon ran hard this season, all season long. Saquon changed the way the Eagles play football. Saquon went from a white-collar back in New York to a blue-collar back in Philly. He went from an above-it-all back to in the middle of it all back, a thoroughbred of a workhorse in Philadelphia. Man, what a season he's had. I still have Josh Allen slightly as MVP, just slightly, but it's getting closer and closer. Look, Saquon has earned the right to finish it off. This team has earned the right to help him finish it off. Now, for the biggest reason this is really a big deal, I have long said that Eric Dickerson, to me, was the greatest running back ever. I first saw Eric Dickerson one August day in Dallas, Texas. I was the columnist for the Dallas Morning News. Ron Meyer, then SMU's head coach, called me at home that August morning and asked me to please come out to that afternoon's practice and see this freshman running back from Sealy, Texas, because Ron Meyer told me I don't have a junior or senior who can tackle him. And he had some talent on those teams, as you might remember. Bought talent, but talent nonetheless. So, as you know, Eric Dickerson wound up leading the NFL in rushing 4 times. And I was there in Anaheim that day when my division-winning Dallas Cowboys played the Rams in a playoff game. The Rams featuring the immortal Dieter Brock at quarterback. No runner was Dieter Brock. No thrower was Dieter Brock. Eric Dickerson had to go solo, and I watched Eric Dickerson run roughshod over my Cowboys, run my Cowboys off the field and right into the ground. Eric Dickerson that day ran for 248 yards. In a 20-0 Rams domination. They didn't need a quarterback that day. Eric Dickerson was the flip side of Saquon, who's obviously built a little shorter and stouter. Eric was built long and tall. 6'3", 225 pounds. Eric Dickerson ran upright, but could he ever run? He ran a 9.4 yard dash in high school. He and Saquon were both right around 4.4 in the 40 coming out of college. But to me, ED was just a tick faster than Saquon is, and Saquon can obviously fly. As Eric Dickerson's Rams coach John Robinson once said, he ran without noise. He was so smooth. Eric Dickerson had this instant full speed acceleration with power. I loved watching my man Emmett and Barry and OJ and certainly the late, great Jim Brown. But to me, Eric Dickerson had the greatest, purest, smoothest combination of speed and power I ever saw. Just beautiful to watch. So this record that Eric set is no fluke. What an honor it would be for Saquon to break this record. As much as I love me some ED, I would honor Saquon if he breaks ED's record. He has earned the right to try to break this record. By the way, the Giants are second to last in stopping the run this season, so give him a shot. As much as I'm rooting for my preseason pick, Eagles to win it all, I publicly acknowledge that I endorse Nick Sirianni and Howie Roseman, their executive of the year, to break all the obvious rules and to let Saquon Barkley and the Philadelphia Eagles make a risky run at the 101 yards needed to break a 40-year-old record set by the greatest running back ever. Quick sip of Breakfast of Champions. So when I first heard that DeSean Jackson had been hired as the head coach at Delaware State, my reaction was, huh? DeSean? Seriously? But my man Lil Wayne knows DeSean much better than I do. I know him a little. And Wayne texted me back that he wasn't really surprised by this hire because to him, DeSean has always been into the strategic side of football that, to quote Wayne, DeSean has a quote-unquote interesting but knowledgeable take on the game. Translation, thinks outside the box with high football IQ. That DeSean has always been, and I quote Wayne, super inquisitive, and that he'll surround himself with coaches who either have been head coaches or coordinators or have high coaching experience. And Wayne added via text that you can bet DeSean's Delaware State uniforms will be, quote unquote, the flyest, and that his teams will be, quote unquote, chippy as hell, as DeSean always was as a player. And by the way, DeSean did get accepted to, and he did stay in school at Cal Berkeley, great school, which definitely required some brains. But for me, the clincher was that Wayne was told that two men had gotten in touch with the powers that be at Delaware State and had closed this deal by vouching for DeSean. Those two men, Any Reid and Deion Sanders. So then I subsequently read in an interview that Andy Reid said, I would stake my career on DeSean's success at Delaware State. Whew. When I read that, I said, okay, I'm all in on DeSean coaching Delaware State, even though at age 38, his only coaching experience was this past season at Woodrow Wilson High School out here in the LA area, where DeSean coached the wide receivers and the specialists. Hey, if Deion vouched for DeSean, I'm definitely all in. I believe in Deion. I believe in what Deion believes in. I'm all in, even though DeSean didn't have exactly a spotless reputation when he played. Yet, you know what? Maybe that's the point. Deion wasn't always the perfect little angel when he played. Read his autobiography. So now Deion, who is a great role model, an even greater father figure, today's Deion isn't naive or oblivious to the temptations that can ruin a college football player's life. Same for Michael Vick, who I believe will make a great head coach at Norfolk State, another recent hire, even though Michael Vick has no coaching experience. So we all know what happened with Michael Vick and those dogs. And I'm obviously a big dog lover. But I've had the privilege of getting to know Michael in the last few years. And I'm here to tell you, I believe with all my heart and all my soul that Michael Vick has seen the light, that his faith and his family are now his genuine priorities. I believe Michael Vick has a big, good heart. I believe he'll dedicate that heart and all his soul to developing fine young men as well as good football players at Norfolk State. All I can tell you is I would want my son to play for Deion Sanders or for Michael Vick. And of course, we are talking here about historically black colleges and universities. Not that Michael Vick or even DeSean can't recruit white players if they so choose. But my experience is that young black men are especially in awe of what Michael Vick was as a quarterback, in large part because of Madden. But to many potential black recruits, Michael Vick, the ex-quarterback, was right up there with Barry Sanders when it came to broken field running. I've never seen anything like it before. To a number of young black men that Michael Vick will try to recruit, he is godlike. And their parents will only need to spend, trust me on this, a few minutes with today's Michael Vick to realize he's come a long, long way from prison. He paid a severe price. He learned. He became a man, a good man, who will make a great role model, and I think a very good head coach. So you dog lovers out there can scream at me all you want. I get it, but I do believe in Michael Vick. I won't forget, but I definitely have forgiven. My BS detector is strong, and I sense nothing phony about today's Michael Vick. Just watch him recruit. Watch him win. But just to be clear, this run of ex-NFL stars with little to no coaching experience being hired as head football coaches at HBCUs isn't a brand new thing. The great Doug Williams, first black quarterback to win a Super Bowl, had a great run coaching his alma mater, Grambling. And Eddie George has been the head coach at Tennessee State and Nashville since 2021, was coach of the year this year in his conference. His team won that conference. But of course, by far the highest profile HBCU hire ever was Neon Deion to Jackson State in 2020. Now, the difference was Deion had coached at the high school level in the Dallas area for the previous 9 years, had coached his sons through high school. And obviously, well, what helped Deion the most in his final 2 seasons at Jackson State, he did have his son Shadur at quarterback, and he had this kid named Travis Hunter playing cornerback and receiver at Jackson State. But again, would Travis Hunter out of the Atlanta area have said no to every major program in the country to sign with Jackson State and Jackson, Mississippi for just any old coach? Nope. He wanted to learn from the greatest cornerback ever. He wanted to spend 4 formative years around the most charismatic leader I've ever been around, Coach Prime. Shedeur and Travis are fine young men with high character, that's on and off the field, who were raised right by Deion Sanders. Deion easily could be a head coach in the NFL next season. He could be the Cowboy coach or the Giants coach or the Jets coach, or I could go on and on. But Deion Sanders has chosen to stay at Colorado because he has dedicated his life to teaching and coaching college-aged kids. So will DeSean have Deion impact or even Michael Vick impact? I doubt it. But do not underestimate DeSean Jackson's on-field reputation with young Madden players. I mean, you can make a case that DeSean Jackson was the greatest deep threat ever in the NFL. He ran 4.35 at the combine, blazing fast, but not quite as fast as a Randy Moss or a Tyreek in time speed. But man, in football speed, helmet and shoulder pad speed, deep speed running through a secondary and adjusting to deep thrown footballs. I'm just not sure there's ever been anybody better than DeSean Jackson, and don't get me started on his punt return capabilities. Whew. But no, I have not forgotten the articles I read about DeSean. This is way back in 2014 when Chip Kelly released him. One article in particular caught my attention in 2014. This is on NewJersey.com. Though DeSean and others in his camp dismissed this article as an attempted smear campaign to justify his release as he was run out of town in Philadelphia. So this story said the Eagles were concerned with DeSean's bad attitude, his inconsistent work ethic, his missed meetings, his lack of chemistry with Chip Kelly, and his continued association with gang members out here in LA where DeSean grew up. And how all the above might negatively influence younger players on the Eagles. But you know what? The main problem might have been that DeSean loved playing for Andy Reid, but he did not love playing for Chip Kelly. NewJersey.com also found that DeSean had been pulled over, this is way back in 2009, for illegally tinted windows, and that marijuana had been found in the car, but that the charges were dropped as part of a plea deal. But far more troubling to me were DeSean's several anti-Semitic social media posts in 2020. Yet, I read that he subsequently met with several Jewish leaders in the Philadelphia area and at least one Holocaust survivor. Good for you, DeSean. And DeSean has always been involved with charities in Philly and where he played in Washington. So is it fair to say that DeSean Jackson knows what trouble looks like, sort of feels like, that he's seen trouble, been around trouble, but never been in trouble? Sure it is. And that could be a good thing, maybe a powerful thing when it comes to teaching and coaching and raising young men. No, DeSean won't immediately have a Shedeur or a Travis. Delaware State went 1-10 this past season. The Hornets' lone win was 17-15 over Sacred Heart. Yikes. But if Deion Sanders vouched for you, I'm not going to bet against you. So maybe you saw the video, Sam Darnold post-game making his entrance into the Vikings locker room, how they celebrated him. They lifted him up onto the shoulders of many of the players. They doused him with dozens and dozens of bottles of water. And I'm here to say, how can I argue? Sam Darnold and the Vikings have had a phenomenal season. Yet, forgive me, I still don't trust Sam Darnold as the quarterback of a true Super Bowl contender. Maybe that's because I believed Baker Mayfield was just better than Sam Darnold before their draft, went on record with that, and obviously Baker went first. And I still believe Baker Mayfield is better. What a game Baker had on Sunday. But despite great Sam Darnold numbers Sunday against Green Bay, he was 33 of 43 for 377, 3 touchdowns, just 1 interception. The Packers climbed right back in that game because Sam Darnold started coming apart in the fourth quarter right on schedule. He threw 3 or 4 balls in the fourth quarter that could have been picked. That's why his QBR dropped to just 80, while Jordan Love's was 84, even though Jordan Love lost 27-25. I still believe the Packers will go farther than the Vikings. So, in Buffalo Sunday, Aaron Rodgers threw for a grand total of 112 yards with no TDs and 2 INTs. Aaron Rodgers had by far a career worst QBR of 1.2. That scale of 0 to 100, 1.2. I just pointed out Jordan Love had an 84, and Sam Darnold had an 80. Aaron Rodgers yesterday at Buffalo was 1.2. Aaron was yanked from the game to start the fourth quarter in favor of Tyrod Taylor, down 40-0. Aaron said after the game that he suggested that he be pulled, but you never know whether you can believe what Aaron Rodgers says. All I know for sure is that Aaron Rodgers has fallen off the cliff. Aaron Rodgers is washed. He still has 2 of the NFL's best receivers at his disposal, yet his team is now 4-12. I watched a lot of this game. He just looks and moves old and creaky. He obviously had a great run. He did break a record on Sunday, most sack quarterback ever, but he did have a great run, broke Tom Brady's record career. But it's pretty clear to me that Aaron Rodgers is done. Fire has gone out. Over and out. Aaron Rodgers. The best show in the NFL is now Jayden Daniels. That's all I have to say. Jayden Daniels. He is him. He is it. He is a clutch warrior who gets better as the game gets closer and later. He leads the league in late theatrics. Now, he runs way too much, 17 times against Atlanta. Takes way too much punishment, but can he ever run? I saw him say in an interview over the weekend that he beat both his LSU receivers, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas, in a race. He was adamant about it. I beat them both. They both ran 4.3 something at the combine. Lord. Whew. Jerry Jones, you've been watching this rookie quarterback in Washington? Happy New Year, Jerry. The best start-to-finish quarterback game I watched over the weekend was Joe Burrow versus a very good Denver defense, playing at a high level. Joe Burrow went 39 of 49 for 412 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. The Bengals won 30-24 in overtime to keep their playoff hopes alive. I would not want to play Joe Burrow in the first round of the playoffs. Joe Burrow is the best quarterback in all of football, as I've been saying for 3 years running. No quarterback can speed read like Joe Burrow. No quarterback can deliver more accurate, catchable passes more consistently than Joe Burrow. No quarterback is tougher than Joe Burrow. I close with a quick comment about another quarterback I love. Please indulge me this. He does play for my school, Vanderbilt University. His name is Diego Pavia, and I have never, ever seen anything quite like him in college football, including his idol, Johnny Manziel. Now, the biggest game Pavia won all season was recently in court. He has been granted one more season at Vandy. You can laugh at me as loudly as you want to laugh at me, but it wouldn't shock me if Diego Pavia wins the Heisman next season, or if my Vanderbilt Commodores make the college football playoffs next season. And yep, next season we have to play at Alabama and at Texas and at South Carolina and at Tennessee. But I am not betting against Diego Pavia, who this season did beat Alabama and very, very nearly beat Texas, and did win at Kentucky and did win at Auburn and almost won at Missouri. And Diego Pavia the other day did beat Georgia Tech in a bowl game. Beat him pretty soundly as a 3-point underdog. In that game, Pavia threw for only 160 yards, but he threw for 3 touchdowns because when it's time, he makes that throw and that throw and that throw. He also ran for 84 yards and 2 more touchdowns because when it's time, he makes that run and converts that 3rd down and scores that touchdown. He's maybe 5 feet 10 inches tall, but he is stout. He is faster than you think. He has a bigger arm than you at first think. Diego Pavia just keeps making key plays with his arm and his legs, and especially with his heart. I have never had more fun watching a college quarterback than I have watching Diego Pavia at my school, Vanderbilt. I dare you to watch him next year. The truth is, you might not have any choice but to watch him next year. He's going to be that big a national deal. You can laugh all you want. And remember, I said this. That's it for this episode. Thanks to Tyler Korn for producing, to Ernestine for overseeing, and to Hazel for approving. Happy New Year.